break it up, men, but it's time to change the subject for just about 60 seconds.
There we go. Is my microphone working this time? Because I had massive problems. I'm going to bring up my settings to see if it's showing that my mic is working good. Part of the problem of this evening was that my mic would not work. It was working for the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Actually, I had some problems before that too. But yeah, I'm having a few technical difficulties, including I don't know why my background is blurred. It's not supposed to be. My foreground is also blurred because, you can't really see Cthulhu here. But yeah, so it's been a night. Excellent. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Jim, I was going to bring this up in the Traveling TARDIS. I forgot to. I know you mentioned it on one of my videos. But yes, Doctor Who Flux is a thing that exists. I'm going to bring it with me to Game-A-Lot on the weekend in Edmonton. I've got, I think, 9 streams already set up for that over the course of the weekend. If you are not already a subscriber of the channel, head over to my YouTube, youtube.com/therathole, DOTCA. Hit the bell and you'll know all of the times when I go live. I think I have 2 streams in the late afternoon, evening on Friday, and like another 6 on Saturday, and Sunday is somewhat up in the air. So yeah, that's a thing. And I have also played Doctor Who Flux previously as solo Flux. So you can also, if you scroll far enough back through my live streams or my videos, I don't remember which one it's in there, but yeah, you will eventually find me playing that. This particular one does not work very well with the Flux solo rules. However, that's not what we're doing here today. What we are doing here today is the Call of Cthulhu. It is Choose Cthulhu. I am doing book number 1. I did this last week. I'm going to do it again, and the beginning of the story will be the same. The rest of the story will not be the same, because that's how these adventures work. It is a game book. I will choose what I do throughout the adventure, and it is available right now. The new oh, did I not put that one in here? Apparently I don't have that video. It just went live on Kickstarter, books 7 through 10. And somewhere I have that image. So if you go look, there it is. No, I didn't want to open it. It's going to be one of those days in it. Quit. Go over to Kickstarter, look up Choose Cthulhu from Steve Jackson Games, and you will be able to get those other 4 books, which are right there. We go. Click, click, click. Thinky. No, you son of a. Never mind. Go to Kickstarter. I'm not having a great day. It is just it's being super cranky. Delete that overlay. Let's try this one last time. I'm gonna have to fix this for the weekend. StreamYard is full, is the short answer to editing. So it keeps going at me. There we go. So yes, the Arkham Madhouse, The Color Out of Space, which has a film version, I think, with Nicolas Cage, if I remember right. The Whisper in the Darkness, and The Festival. So those are your 4 books available on Kickstarter right now. Get in on the ground floor. But today we are, in fact, doing Call of Cthulhu, book number 1. Let's see if I can make all of the wonderful things work. If I go like this, and then I go like this, because that's it's not quite right. Damn it. That's okay. It'll be fine. I have built this extra mask over top of everything to make it look less ugly. less. Let's see. Did I build it for this version? I think I did. Open that. And I am so unprepared. I was prepared, and then I wasn't. Let's try this. We're just going to click that out. And thank you guys so much for your patience through all of my whatever this is that's going on right now in my universe. Share screen window. That's what I want. Share. That's a much better version. All right. There we go. And now I just need to extend my screen because I won't be able to see a darn thing as I do this. At least not if I'm doing it right. Okay. Move my screen over to here. Or do I put that over here? No, we'll put this. Yes, that's fine. I also upgraded stuff, so it's just one of those, all of the everything is gonna go wrong tonight. Move this window to the iPad. There we go. All right. And there's that. There's not what I want anyway. That can go there. This can come here. Let the joys of being live. Yeah, the joys of being live on the internet is true. It's true there, Jim. Yeah, hate this. All right, so let's take a look at. There we go. Hey, no, that's why. Because that's not the window we want. It's not the window we want. This is the window we want. That's right, the window we want. So, once again, we are going to go through The Call of Cthulhu by Steve Jackson Games, the Choose Cthulhu series. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you are not joining me on the Rat Holes information, hit our YouTube channel, the youtube.com/theratholedotca. Clicky. Right there. Please and thank you. So, let's go to the back of the book. Your sanity is at stake. A mysterious cult has murdered your great uncle, Professor Gamble. Following the clues he left, you uncover a trail of death and chaos that leads around the world. A door to a secret world, hiding in plain sight, opens before your eyes. It is a world of truths too fearful to be believed by the sane mind. What secrets lie behind Professor Gamel's research? Will your courage suffice to face what the cult of Cthulhu is concealing? Will you survive the curse that strikes all who learn of these beings from the depths of time and space? Choose Cthulhu is a series of game books based on the works of Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Take the role of the main character in the original stories by Providence's master and face the cosmic horror of the Cthulhu mythos. Hey, thanks, Mark. Glad to see you here. I know a couple of you were still hanging out back in the Traveling TARDIS studio, so I'm glad you're here now. I don't remember if you were on here. Here's your titles in the Choose Cthulhu series. Again, we are doing the Call of Cthulhu with the Arkham Madhouse, the Color of Space, the Festival, and the Whisper in the Darkness, live on Kickstarter right now. So Call of Cthulhu. And this was originally a Spanish production, so you can see there it says translated from the Spanish by somebody who I can't actually see because there's a thing in the way. That's going to be annoying in it. Can I move that? Yes, I can. Haha. There we go. Warning! How many times have you felt like screaming, "Don't do that, you fool!" when reading a book or watching a movie? Well, this is your chance to be the one to make the decisions. You'll find many different actions to carry out within the pages of this book. As you read through the story, you'll choose what you want to do. Your decisions will determine whether you successfully complete your investigation, die a horrible death, or spend your last days in a mental institution. Only you are accountable for your destiny. It is up to you to save or condemn the world. It's very simple. Once you've read what's happening, follow the instructions to find out where your choices take you. Take into consideration that you can't go back. Read your options carefully and think before you choose. In the Choose Cthulhu books, you'll not only enter the world crafted by H.P. Lovecraft, but you'll also have the chance to relive his dark creations. Do you think you can outsmart the children of the master himself? Oh, and when in doubt, I'm still not going to read that. I meant to look up exactly how to say all that, but that's okay. Yes, Mark, it is similar but legally distinct from that very litigious series of publications. Yes. So I cannot, and have been requested, I do not mention that particular highly litigious company and series of books while dealing with this. But yes, these are adventures in which you choose your own path. I was going to wait and like pop this in at some point, but since I can't really see Cthulhu here on camera, I'm just going to do this. Cthulhu is not, in fact, just a statue. Cthulhu is, in fact, a tiki mug from the wonderful Stormcrow, and it is full of delicious beer, which I would not normally drink with a straw, but you kind of need to in this. Yummy. I can't get too schmammered. I am supposed to work out after this, and apparently it's a heck of a workout. All right. Shall we begin? I'm also going to try to be, soothing and stuff like I was last time. Introduction. The cruel winter of 1926 has crept in, and you find yourself in the well-stocked library of your residence in Boston. The newspapers have announced heavy snow for tonight, and from where you stand in the shadow of the bookcases, you notice the first snowflakes fall against the window pane. Your name is Francis Wayland Thurston, and you work at Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island. Right now, you're enjoying your end-of-term Christmas holidays. Your reading is interrupted by the sound of pounding at your door. and your housekeeper steps inside, handing you a letter that has just arrived. Upon reading it, you learn of a tragic occurrence. Your great uncle George Gamble Angle has been found dead. A much loved man of 92, he was a historian and anthropologist working as professor emeritus of semantic languages at the same university where you work. The letter spells out the strange circumstances surrounding his demise. It seems that he'd been jostled by a nautical looking fellow who'd emerged from a hut by the waterfront as your uncle was returning from the Newport boat. Physicians believe his death was owing to a cardiac arrest rather than the fall itself. This missive also appoints you as the only heir and executor of his will, and summons you the following day to meet with his lawyer, who will advise you of your inheritance. You pack your bags immediately and prepare for the trip. The following morning, you take the train bound for Providence. I'm just going to try something before I continue. Jim thinks the butler did it. No, I can't. It will, in fact, bugger up if I try and zoom in. Yeah, it's okay. One. Following Professor Engel's funeral, you return to your Providence home, where you spend most of the year. You speak with your great-uncle's lawyer, and he provides you with everything he bequeathed to you. These are the elements pertaining to an investigation to which the professor must have been very dedicated. Before you lies a peculiar locked box. You are also given the personal ring that was found in your great-granduncle's pocket at the time of his death, which unlocks the box. The contents are enigmatic. There's a clay bas relief, a manuscript divided into 2 parts, and a stack of press clippings, as well as a handful of papers with notes penned by the professor himself. Each and every one of these objects sparks your inquisitive spirit. Besides, is it possible that the contents of this box may somehow be related to the strange death your great-granduncle suffered? Just might. In that case, which of these objects would you examine first? We'll check out the clay bas relief. The clay bas relief depicts a monster of a form that only a diseased fantasy could conceive. It suggests an amalgamation of a humanoid creature with a dragon and a squid. Next to the bas relief are notes penned by your... One moment. Let's clean this minor mess up. I'll restart this page, but again, for those not familiar with Cthulhu, there's your figure, and this is, vaguely what it theoretically looks like. Which is when I was going to, point out that this is a mug. All right, let's try this again. The clay bas relief depicts a monster of a form that only a diseased fancy could conceive. It suggests an amalgamation of a humanoid creature with a dragon and a squid. Next to the bas relief are notes penned by your great-uncle himself, implying that he was not able to decipher the meaning of the indescribable hieroglyphs that are carved on the tablet, despite all his knowledge and proven learning. There's also a brief description of the artist who sculpted it. His name is Henry Anthony Wilcox, and he lives in the Fleur-de-Lis building, a student accommodation near the Rhode Island School of Design. Perhaps it would be advisable to pay him a visit. Or maybe you'd rather examine the rest of the contents of Professor Engel's box. Mark says I should check the box. All right. I will go to study the press clippings. 56. The press clippings that your great uncle had collected come from the most remote corners of the earth. There's news about a man who committed suicide in London upon waking up in the middle of the night and leaping from a window after a shocking cry of "Fatagan!" There's a dispatch from California describing a theophist colony as donning white robes en masse for some glorious fulfillment that is fast approaching. Some outline as unprecedented restlessness in India. Others reported on the disturbing behavior of some tribes in the Philippines, on the presence of albino alligators in the New York sewers, and on an occurrence in the Paris Spring Salon, where a painter by the name of Andois Panot exhibited a piece he labeled Dream Landscape, the nature of which has been so blasphemous that the event had to be cancelled. All these press clippings refer to events that took place between early March and early April 1925. It's possible the key to unravel your great uncle's investigation lies here. Your resolve to chase down the strange wonders and signs that they have reported upon. Travel may be required to visit certain locations. I can read the manuscripts later. Let's check out my box where I keep all my savings to see if I can afford such voyages. 9. The case of the Californian theophists is noteworthy. So is that suicidal man in London, and the embarrassing scandal at the Paris Spring Salon during the exhibition of the blood-curdling Dream Landscape. Determined to pack your bags, you must choose a destination to commence your investigation. If you decide to travel to San Francisco to chase down the Californian theophists, turn to page 18. You may take a ship to Marseille, from where it should be easy to travel to Paris and visit the Spring Salon on page 102. Another option is to travel to London looking for more information about the mysterious suicidal man. Go to 95. Let's go to California. Why? Because why not? You disembark upon reaching San Francisco, certain you are on the right track. According to Professor Engel's notes, the commune of theophists resides at a place called San Juan Bautista, a small city within the San Benito County. You also know there's a mission there under the leadership of a man by the name of Father Juarez, and that dark rumors about it have spread quickly. The parishioners mention unspeakable cults and strange monks who worship ungodly deities. The most horrifying tales about sacrificial rites and missing children were true. And the authorities would have already stepped in, right? It is relatively easy to find the mission once you've asked some of the local residents. They point you towards a poorly whitewashed church with an aesthetic and frugal feel to it. Once there, you inquire about Father Juarez, whereupon an altar boy, who you find rather scatterbrained, leads you to him. Talk with Father Juarez on page 41. He's a short and scrawny piece. His taciturn face draws a serious and intense expression. At first, he seems reluctant to talk about the Cthulhu cult, but as soon as you share how much you know about the topic, you gain his trust. It seems you have had perfect timing, Mr. Thurston, for we are once more at the gates of its coming. Just as the words leave his mouth, he looks up and casts a suspicious glance at the plaster cross that represents martyrdom of Christ. Despite his being a Catholic priest, his unveiled disregard for the figure gives him away as a renegade. Undoubtedly, he was not referring to the coming of the kingdom of heaven, but to a far more remote and obscure belief that has replaced his Christian faith. In 1925, when the last appearance of the great priest Cthulhu took place, says Father Juarez, our commune was deep into the Guna Revolution when the natives fought the ruling Panamanian authorities. Then in March, all these dream visions happened. Since then, our brotherhood has grown exponentially. We have had many more recipients now than ever before. Recipients? Yes, he nods in a gloomy fashion. Those are who are susceptible to telepathic callings of great Cthulhu. You might want to meet them in person. Follow Father Juarez to meet the recipients. On page 3. When you read about that commune of theosophists clad in white, your mind conjured the image of pseudo-religious people, not particularly pious, but definitely virtuous and moderate, like Father Juarez. But when he leads you to the meeting place of the Brotherhood, a low-ceilinged gallery crammed with barnacle-eaten boats and canoes awaiting repairs, you find yourself among a group of tough mercenaries of the sea, oily and muscled folk, coarse and common types. They are dressed in long white tunics that brush against their ankles. Their hairy faces poke out of the openings of the robes, and you hear them grunting and mumbling as they diligently repair a multitude of nautical objects that, judging by their state, seem to have been rescued from a wreck. As you may see, it won't take long till the expedition is ready. Expedition, you inquire? Do you mean a trip? Exactly. Juarez pauses dramatically before continuing. During the past 2 weeks, many of these men have shown symptoms of telepathy. Since then, I've taken note of the images and signs they've received. Its coming is fast approaching, and I'm certain that this time we'll be in the right place. We'll board a ship in 2 days. San Juan Batista, she's called, and head for the Pacific Ocean. I trust you'll want to join our expedition? What are we looking for exactly? Riley, dear friend. None other than the mythical Riley. It's time to take a look at the ship the Brotherhood will board to undertake this leg of their journey on page 90. What if I don't want to choose Cthulhu, Phantom? You don't have a choice. Cthulhu will pick you. I can't, and don't cry, Dave. I can't help it. This is a very sad story. Also, it's late, and I'm tired. I'm yawning, and my eyes are watering. Need more. It's like my sippy bug of insanity. I will fight Cthulhu, Phantom says. Yeah, okay. You do that. It was nice knowing you. Let's go take a look at that ship. The San Juan Batista, the vessel that the members of the Brotherhood have been preparing, is ready to sail from the port of San Francisco. Looking at the ship, you fail to see how it might endure many mishaps. What if this mission, led by a group of half-cocked mystics, were to sink? What if these fanatics were capable of summoning and freeing the old god they call Cthulhu? You are desperate to become an anthropologist of note and are looking forward to resuming this investigation. And that is enough reason to believe you should sail with them. However, prudence advises you to refrain from going beyond a merely rational investigation. You remember that you've been carrying the documents that your great uncle bequeathed to you, including a police report by Inspector Legras. Besides, your trip to the southwest of the United States has taken you near enough to the city of New Orleans. For an instant, you consider leaving aside the commune of Theophists to pay a visit to the inspector in Louisiana. You must make a decision. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Jim. I where is it? Yeah. Speak of the creature, and he doth appear. Also, 70th anniversary of the creature, just so you know. So yes, we are definitely going to die, Mark. We are definitely going to die. If you sail aboard the San Juan Batista alongside Father Juarez and his mystical crew, go to page 37. Or you can thumb through Inspector Legrasse's report before meeting him in New Orleans. Now, I do want to point out, mostly for Mark, because I'm currently in Southern California on the West Coast. Louisiana is the East Coast. So this theory that has taken me close is, I have no idea where this is coming from. I really don't. Possibly just snark. Possibly it was written by a Spanish guy who doesn't know geography of America. Yeah. Let's see. I feel like it's going to be a terrible choice to go sailing. So I'm going to go through the report. You decide to focus on Inspector Legrasse's report, which turns out to be quite interesting. He describes the way in which he came to possess a stone idol representing a similar representing a similar figure to that on the bas relief contained within the box. Apparently, he captured the idol during a raid through the swamps of New Orleans in November 1907, where a strange ritual was taking place. He also mentions the event that transpired in 1908 during the annual meeting of the American Archaeological Society in St. Louis. Legrasse arrived there with the stone idol, and among the astonished scholars that were there, only Professor William Channing Webb offered his testimony. He connected the statuette with a tribe in Greenland. Once you've read the report in its entirety, you research further and discover not only that Legrasse is still alive and working as an inspector in New Orleans, but that in England, Professor Webb's son has picked up his father's investigation where it left off. It's therefore possible to meet either of the men who participated in your great-uncle's investigation. Who will be first? I don't remember what I did last time. So I'm going to go and visit the inspector. Meeting with Inspector Cthulhu versus Kraken versus Leviathan. Who would sea monsters celebrate death match? The referee is Godzilla. Popcorn for sale. There's got to be a movie of that somewhere, my friend. Meeting with Inspector Legrasse proves to be relatively easy. His office smells of tobacco, and the whole room is drowned in gloom, a foul half-darkness, itself a product of the New Orleans heat. Inspector John Raymond Legrasse is an honest and agreeable man. He shows empathy towards your concerns regarding your great-uncle's death and the research that has led you to his office. You have brought along all the material that Professor Engel bequeathed you. Excited, you show it to him. Damn it! This again! I'm sorry, you ask? Have we met before? The old inspector mutters something under his breath before sitting back in his old chair. Sorry, I must have mistaken you for somebody else, he says, studying you head to toe. Let me tell you a story. Confused but captivated by his cautious voice and hypnotized by the thick smoke and his spiced tobacco, you prepare for his tale. On page 67. A couple of years ago, when this whole thing started, starts Legrasse, I had the chance to meet someone called Johannesson. Gustav Johannesson. He was a Norwegian sailor who, almost by accident, ended up on that accursed island where I lay. I was still researching the Cthulhu cult. Bear in mind that after raiding the swamps and confiscating a particular fetish, I grew almost obsessed with this case. Well, I heard about this Johannesson man when reading about the arrival of the freighter Vigilant, which was towing away the steam yacht Alert. And you know what, Mr. Thurston? I believe that man could have tell you far more interesting tales than anything you might dig up in this country. We've seen many brotherhoods of officiants performing the usual voodoo rites, but there haven't been any traces of the Cthulhu cult in New Orleans since. And you stare at the inspector with What he reads is a quizzical glance and almost immediately resumes his monologue. Trust me, I traveled to Oslo to track down Johansen. When I met him, he was writing down his own tale. I strongly suggest you pay him a visit. I assure you, whatever that man encountered will shed more light on this mystery. You won't find anything else of interest here. As the last words leave his mouth, he stands up and shakes your hand. You stumble out of his office feeling disoriented. But you have the address of the man Johansen who lives in Oslo. All right. Well, let's go do the. Let's look at his report one more time. And after rereading it, I can go to London to search for Professor Webb's son. So let's go there. Pluto has and sci-fi movies Godzilla monsters. Yeah. I love me Godzilla. Godzilla, Gamera, I love all of these things. 78. There's no doubt that Professor Webb's son could be the key here. If his father had first-hand details of the Cthulhu cult, then it's expected that his son retains a large part of the documentation that constituted his investigation. Resolving to meet him, you travel to London, full of hope for this new approach. Find Professor Webb's son in London on page 6. Finding Arthur J. Webb, the son of William Channing Webb, should be easy enough, since he followed his father's footstep and is now a renowned professor of anthropology at the Oxford University. His father made a name for himself when he toured Iceland and Greenland in search of some runic inscriptions, which he failed, sadly to unearth. Webb gives you a cold welcome, but this changes immediately to fascination when you show him your great-uncle's possessions. The manuscript and the press clippings go almost unnoticed, but he appears captivated by the bas-relief. Almost by accident, you notice that his office is decorated with some pieces of artwork that prove he has been long involved with the so-called Cthulhu cult. The squid dragon is represented time and time again on different pages and other pieces of pictorial intent. This is the work of the great acolyte of Great Cthulhu, he says in fascination, observing Wilcox's bas-relief. You share your investigative efforts with him, and he immediately suggests you accompany him to Greenland in search of a tribe that believed to worship the ancient deity. Webb's proposal appears enticing, although you actually find his obsessive and ingratiating tone rather revolting. You must choose a destiny. Now, you've had the Candyman in London and the Wild Random Walk in London. Yes, these are also things you find in London. It's true. Let's go to Greenland. Why not? You join Professor Webb's expedition. You travel to Liverpool, and over the course of the next 2 days, you get your fares in order, ready to leave. To your surprise, you discover that the small brigantine you ought to sail on has barely any experienced crew members. Once settled in on the stern cabin, Professor Webb comes to show you something very special. He produces a statuette from his trunk. It's about 9 inches high and has been delicately crafted. It represents the same cuttlefish-headed monster with the palpidorned face. His round and scaly body sports 2 disproportionate claws for hind legs and narrow wings at the back. This is Cthulhu. You already know him. He's the figure in your bas-relief. Inspector Legrasse, a Louisiana inspector of police, offered this statue to my father in 1908. It is hideous, you think, as you study the slippery surface of the fetish. It is revolting beyond all aesthetic measure. Inspector Legrasse intercepted this figure after a raid when he broke apart a cult in the swamps. He believed my father was well suited to own it, but I think he gave it up gladly. His reverential tone and wild gestures, whenever you try to say try to have a closer look at the statuette are indicative of his state of mind. And there's more, Mr. Thurston. This beauty will be our letter of safe passage in Greenland. A few moments later, a few minutes of sort of a half hour later, the vessel sails from Liverpool northward to the Gilead coasts of Greenland. Visit the frozen land on page 76. You plan to disembark in Niskawak, a peninsula located on the coast of Greenland where, according to the posthumous reports of Webb Sr., the idol originated. Judging by the coordinates, it's not far from the famous Northwest Passage, where the tragic Franklin expedition disappeared in 1847. The sailors pilot a ship with the utmost care, avoiding the most treacherous icebergs that appear here and there. Eventually, after your long journey, you arrive in Niskawik. Upon disembarking, you find the townspeople unwelcoming and strange, weirdly unhappy and sullen. You consider it might be owing to the weather and the hardships of such an isolated and almost resourceless place. You rent a room at the inn by the wharf and are offered fish for dinner in greater abundance than you could have expected. At the crack of dawn the following day, you expect to resume your expedition towards the interior of the island, where you hope to find the last worshippers of Cthulhu. Are there any symbols on the statue? It does not say, Jim. And we couldn't really get a good look at it, could we? But anything's possible. Prepare for the final expedition on page 87. You're having a rough night, although it has nothing to do with the weather. The walls of this inn have been designed to withstand the freezing temperatures of Greenland. What is keeping you awake is the eerie heathen prayers that you hear Professor Webb recite all night long. As your eyes adjust to the dark, you think you can make out Professor Webb kneeling before his bed. You could almost swear that the stone idol is standing on the mattress in front of him. You close your eyes and, for your own sake, tell yourself that it's not real. But you wake up almost certain that Webb has lost all traces of sanity. Before 6 o'clock in the morning, Professor Webb's to your bed and advises you to get ready. No, he's definitely insane. He's getting up before 6 a.m. The dog sled that will drive you to the interior of the island will soon be here. The professor's eyes are glare with insanity. What if you pretended to be sick so that you could return to civilization while he sets off on his own? Do you think it would be foolish to back down now? You've come all the way to be here. Never back down. Never surrender. Trust everything will be fine and be his companion in this expedition on page 54. The temptation overpowers your fears regarding the potential madness of Professor Webb, and so you prepare for your trip. Less than an hour later, you were both in a dog sled. The dreadful stone statuette has also come along for the ride, which makes you anxious. Webb's eyes seem glazed, clouded by a thick veil of insanity. The journey becomes tricky and bumpy. The ground is Gilead and uneven, and the dogs, however well trained, barely manage to avoid the obstacles along the path. At some point, seized by desperation, you ask Webb how he didn't think of hiring a guide? He looks at you as if you were the insane one. No one should know where we are headed, he spits out. And now you shudder in fear, realizing that he just implied that you were completely at his mercy. Eventually, after hours of traversing unending plains of a monotonous whiteness, you come to a village of igloos in the middle of nowhere. Night is falling. Only the flickering lights of a collection of intermittent fires manage to crack through this dense darkness. You climb down from the sled half a mile from where a ritual was being performed. We must continue on foot, says Webb. You set out in that direction, and with escalating fear, you realize that the professor has a tight grip on the statuette of the distorted god Cthulhu. You approach the igloo village on page 98. Walking half a mile passes quite quickly, and you make your way. You felt as though the stone idol in Webb's hands was vibrating. At last, you arrive at the location where the ritual is taking place. In the middle of a circle of celebrants, all of them covered in thick furs, a sort of gassy and multiform column rises. It could be the result of condensed vapor that stems from the frozen ground. At first, it looks like regular fog, but then it becomes a pedestal. The tribe sings a demented summoning verse that causes Webb's statuette to vibrate more intensely. We should leave here, Professor Webb, you mumble. He looks at you again as if you were insane. Shut up, Thurston, he roars. They're waiting the arrival of this idol, and I'll be the one to hand it over. Only then will the summoning ritual be complete. Only then may great Cthulhu come. Without another word, he steps into the middle of the circle, idol in hand. The celebrants do indeed welcome the statuette as if it were a gift from the heavens. You're uncertain how to proceed. Mark said, don't join the cult. It is not for the greater good. And if you want to join Professor Webb and take part in the ritual, turn to page 103. If you would rather be a bystander from the ritual from afar, do it on page 107. Well, Mark says don't do it, so let's not do it. I should have done it. From a distance, you see Professor Webb carry the stone idol to the heart of the ritual. The officiants cease their chanting, stunned by the presence of the statuette, and place it on the pedestal that rises in the middle of the ice. A second later, they withdraw the knives from their robes and stab Webb to death. An explosion of viscera and blood stains the frozen ground. You turn on your heels, hoping to escape, but a lacerating pain in your stomach stops you. You close your eyes. You can feel the blood dribbling down your abdomen. Yes. Your gut. Running down your legs. When you open your eyes again, you are facing a lunatic stare. A pair of bloodshot eyes glint under the hood. In their hands, they're holding a sturdy harpoon. Forcing it further, they dig the spear deeper into your body, piercing your guts until the tip tears through your back. Then, in a display of extraordinary strength, they swing you upright, skewering the bottom of the spear onto the frozen ground and exhibiting you as a terrifying trophy. Horribly impaled, your body slides down the splintering wood. Try to understand how you arrived at this destiny, and then you hear the demented chants of the tribe. Aye, aye, Cthulhu Fatagan. The end. I didn't realize my nickname was Wash. That's Firefly joke, folks. That's Firefly joke. Okay. Well, that is a thing that definitely happened. And I need to go this way, this way, this way. We go here, we go, move this back to this. Bleep. There we go. I've got stuff. I've got rhythm. Nope, this is not the one I want. This is the thing I want. Boom, 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 boom. That and there we go. Hey. So that is another painful death. In the Call of Cthulhu. Dum dum dum. If you are familiar with Cthulhu and everything that is H.P. Lovecraft, you would be aware that this is probably how most of these are going to end. No matter what your decision is, you're probably going to die, and it's probably going to be a horrible death. But the joy is getting to that point. The joy is not in the destination, but the journey? Question mark. Anywho, that is Call of Cthulhu. If you go back, if I'm smart, I will, at the end of this video, link to last week's video. So you can watch me do this again with a completely different story and a completely different ending. Ish. The ending is kind of the same. Like I said, dying a horrible, horrible, painful death. And of course, books 7 through 10 of the Choose Cthulhu series are up on Kickstarter now. You can see the URL at the bottom, and I will scroll down. I will also put this right there. Phantom, thanks for reading. You are very welcome. This is something a little bit different. I don't do this sort of a game very often, but it was an interesting change. But yes, definitely. Now, these are being published in a few different formats, in a paperback, in a hardcover, and in PDF. And those who know me know that I'm not a fan of PDFs for most things. Do I think this would be better, big giant air quotes on that, if I were doing it in a physical format? It would certainly look nicer. It would not be nearly as good for this theme. This stream, not theme, stream. Because the PDF does have those links right in there. So you just go click and it takes you right to the page, which does prevent you from cheating somewhat. If this were a physical book and I were smart, I would have had my finger in it and I would have just gone flip. Oh, okay, I'm going to make the other decision. That being said, if I had gone and become part of the cult along with Webb, I think the end result would have been the same. I still would have been stabbed to death by cultists. Cheat. Yes, I am a cheat. It's true, Mark. When it comes to choosing adventures, who doesn't cheat? There's a very long and storied, if you'll excuse the pun, history of cheating when choosing your own path in your adventure. He says, trying to avoid being sued. Phrasing. But that being said, I do want to thank a few people, starting with, of course, Steve Jackson Games, who sent me that PDF. I recently, it is sjgames.com. I don't seem to have a banner with that. Sorry about that. But again, they're on Kickstarter right now with this. They are also publishers of things like the GURPS role-playing game and Munchkin. There's a bunch of mention of stuff. We never should have gone to Oslo. We didn't go to Oslo. We went to London and then Greenland. We didn't actually go to Oslo. Did we? Did we go to Oslo? I don't think I went to Oslo. I think I went to Oslo last time. I think I still ended up dead. That being said, yes. So yeah, like I said, there's currently 6 of these books available in all of this. Steve Jackson's Game also is just in the process of releasing a whack of new Munchkin materials. I just got notification of a package being sent to me from, so I don't know where it's coming from, who it is, what publisher. It's possible some fun stuff from Steve Jackson Games, because they promised me a few things. It's possibly some fun stuff from Smirk and Dagger, because they promised me a few things. With that being said, I'm not going to make any promises as to where I'm going to go. What is next week going to be? I don't know, because I don't know what's coming. I have a very busy few weeks coming up. I'm trying to find a thing here. Sorry. Trying to find the button I want. Over here. Over here. Come on. Anywho, yeah, so it's definitely a thing that is gonna just don't go to Greenland again. Yeah, well, like I said, you got to go where you got to go, right? Yeah, you got to go where you got to go. So, thank you to Steve Jackson Games. Please, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Right there, youtube.com/the-rat-hole-DOTCA. Hit the bell. I don't ask you that very often, but I will be in Edmonton on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I will definitely be streaming live from Game-A-Lot from Edmonton on Friday and Saturday. Like I said, my Sunday schedule is still up in the air for a variety of reasons. So I may stream, I may not. But again, hit the bell on the YouTubes and you will know. As well, thank you to, of course, the Julius Andrews, whose music you heard at the beginning of all of this. Thank you to Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, who's been allowing me to promote all of this. Thank all of you, of course, for watching me wherever the heck I am. I don't currently have any raidable channels, so I can't even try to do a raid on the Twitch, which is fine because it only half-ass works anyway for me. Thank you. We're going to go through. We're going to scroll up here. Also, I do have, you will see the third box of Kinfire Delve opening up in the foreseeable future. Vainglory's Grotto. I just have to, I wanted to get through these Choose Cthulhu's, and like I said, I don't know exactly what's coming in the mail, so that will determine a little bit of it. But you will eventually see that because it was just way too much fun, as was this. And I hope you guys all enjoyed visiting with me. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put this here thing up so that I can, put the links and stuff up. One of these links should take you to last week's Call of Cthulhu reading. So head over there or not. Until next time, good gaming and goodbye.